Welcome to MB Tool Reviews. Today on the channel we have a very large tool for you. Today's tool is the Novopress ACO103. For those of you who do not know what a pressfit tool is, this is essentially a crimper for copper piping and also plastic piping, depending on the type of jaws that you have attached to the pressfit tool. So this is the Novopress ACO103, one of many pressfit machines that are available in the UK and worldwide. This is, I believe, their third version, obviously 103, AC101, 102 I believe previous to this. This is a 12 volt pressfit machine based off of the Milwaukee M12 battery. Milwaukee also do their own version of this, again made by Novopress but sold with the Milwaukee branding on it. This pressfit machine retails in at around about £1,500 with 3 heads, 2 batteries and a charger, and the Milwaukee version I think retails at around £1,800. I could be wrong, it could be slightly more or less depending on where you're purchasing from. So with this pressfit machine I got 3 sets of heads with it. I got the M15, M22 and the M28 heads. So these are for 15mm pipe, 22mm pipe and 28mm copper pipe. These are of the M profile. So pressfit comes in either M or V profiles, and you cannot use the M's with the V's and vice versa for their different fittings, which I'll come on to in a second. I decided to go with the M profile because of the amount of manufacturers that use the M profile, Geberit and Yorkshire Pegler, to name a few, but there are many that use the M profile. However, coming on to the fittings, these are some pressfit fittings, and you'll notice if you use a pressfit machine regularly, these are Connex Banninger or B press, which are V press. So you use a V press machine with these B press profiles, and apologies if you're getting confused, it is a little bit confusing as there are quite a few profiles out there. However, on Screwfix's website they say that you can use these B press with an M profile jaw. Connex themselves do not say that. I cannot find it anywhere where Connex say that. However, I purchased these fittings thinking that they fitted with the M profile, and I can tell you that when I used them in the video that I'm going to show you of me using the pressfit machine, they fit in there perfectly and they press perfectly. And the fitting that I press in the video that I'll show you of me using the pressfit machine, you'll see that I don't get any leaks. So in the video that I'm going to show you, you'll see me pressing a pressfit coupler. So back to the actual tool itself, I want to show you a little bit more about the Novopress tool before I actually go on to showing you the video of how the machine works. So you have this pin here, pull the pin out, pop the head in there, doesn't matter which way around you put it in, it can go in both ways, flip it around either direction, doesn't matter, push the pin back in and just check that the jaw's open. This has a swivel head on it, as this is the AC103. I don't know if the other ones, the 101 and the 102, have the swivel head, but I know this one does. I also know Novopress have brought out a small set of jaws for fitting inside of this one with an angle on it to get into tighter spaces. So you can turn it on. Obviously when you press your fit in, you have to open the jaws, put it around your fittings, your fitting has to fit in there nicely like this one does, and you can see it fits in there. And again, I know this is a B press, and some of you will say you can't use the B press with the M. As I've mentioned, Screwfix apparently say on the website that you can. I will be speaking to Screwfix to find out if that is the case, because I've pressed with a few of these now. I've had no leaks. However, that doesn't guarantee my work, which is a bit concerning. So, swivel head on there, got the M press jaws. Again, this does come with V profile jaws if you wish for V profile jaws. I wanted the M profile. I got the 22 and 28 heads. You can go all the way up to 35mm heads, I think, for the copper, and for plastic I think you can go up to 40. So this also runs off the Milwaukee M12 platform, as I mentioned. So I have a few tools now on the M12 platform. I have about 6 batteries now and 3 chargers, because they all seem to come with chargers. So you can use any of the M12 batteries. This does have to be calibrated every 2 years, I believe. So yeah, about 2 years to 18 months you get it calibrated. When I purchased this, the seller did tell me exactly how and when to get it serviced. If you don't get it calibrated, the jaws can come out of calibration, and then your presses may not work. They may over or under press, and then you will end up with leaks or other kinds of problems. You won't be able to guarantee your work. To turn it on, you just hit the button and it lights up, and you can open your jaws, pop it on your fitting, and then when you're ready to go you can hit the button again, and it will make the noise as the hydraulics kick in and crimp the fitting. I'll show you that in the video now. So as you can see in the video, you just pop the tool on there and you can press the fitting. Now again, I used a B press fitting in that video. One of these, well, I used a coupler here, one of these B press fittings. I had no leaks when I pressed the pipe using this. Again, you can get a range of different fittings. So these are B press if you're interested in the V profile or the B profile. As you can see, these fittings are quite bulky. These are 15mm fittings, and I have here a 15mm end feed elbow here soldered into some copper pipe, and you can see the difference in size. They are quite a lot larger. I'm not really sure how well the camera shows the difference here. This has got pipe already soldered into it, and this fitting is nearly bigger than this elbow. Same again here, this one. So these two old ones here, as you can also see, so the pipe goes a fair way inside of the fitting. You see the difference between the two fittings there. Positives obviously for the press fittings are that you can do this with water in the pipe. So if the pipe is still dripping, you get a leak and it's still live, you can press this because it's just an O-ring. It requires no solder, no fire, no blowtorch. It just requires you to pop the fitting on just like this, put your jaws on, press the fitting, job done. The reason I have this tool is for commercial premises only. The domestic stuff I would quite happily use a blowtorch, unless the customer was against it, but the cost of these fittings versus the end feed fittings, I mean, it's quite a lot more expensive. About 10 of these fittings probably cost the same as a bag of 25 of the same end feed fittings. So for commercial applications it makes sense because you don't have to do the hot works permits. So with the press fit machine, there's no hot works permits. It's a crimp. It's a very large crimp, so it just crimps the pipe. It uses an O-ring. I'm not sure if the camera can pick it up there. You can just see the black O-ring inside of the fitting there. So you crimp the O-ring onto the pipe and it creates a leak-free joint. You'll also see in the video I showed you a minute ago, if you go back and watch it again, I mark the pipe up with a pencil. You can mark it with a marker pen. That's to make sure that the pipe doesn't move before you crimp it, because obviously with any fitting, if you don't get it all the way in, it's not going to work the way it should. It does need to be a fair bit in, so you can either mark it once it's in, take it back out and then check it and make a bigger mark, or you can put it in, mark it up and just make sure it doesn't move. Some guys put an X across it to make sure it doesn't twist. Whatever suits you, so that you know that you've crimped the fitting. Some guys also mark it with an X once they finish, so they do the line then the X afterwards, and that lets you know that your fitting is both crimped and that it's in the right place and it hasn't slipped out, because that can happen. Obviously if you're on a tight joint, same with an end feed, it can push off and then you get a leaky joint. Again, with press fit you only kind of get one go at it, so if you press it and you make a mistake and the pipe isn't in there, you'll have to cut the fitting out and remove it and replace it for a new fitting. They're a one-time fitting, they're a permanent fitting, so there's no replacing them or removing them unless you're going to cut the whole piece of pipe off. They're not like push fit where you can take them on and off. In my opinion, press fit is definitely for the commercial application at the moment. It's not for the DIY market, and it's not personally for the domestic market, if I'm being honest. I mean, I think that to use these fittings in a customer's home means you're going to have to probably either charge them more money or you're going to have to lose a bit of profit. That will obviously be down to yourself. Me personally, I'd rather use a soldered fitting 9 times out of 10, unless I'm somewhere that is likely to catch fire, like in a loft or somewhere that I think is a high risk situation. Then I would probably use a couple of these fittings. I wouldn't use loads. Again, you're adding quite a lot of cost onto the job, which is either got to come out of your pocket or the customer's. So try and balance it out. Again, you could use obviously push fit in those situations as well. Me personally, I like a permanent fixing like this. Push fit has its place, but yeah, soldered or pressed fittings are my go-to generally. So again, just to come back to these fittings, the B-press fittings look like this, which obviously have the ring about halfway down. Now if you go and have a look, or I'll actually post a picture up here of the Yorkshire or the Geberit fittings, and you'll see that the O-ring is actually on the end of the fitting rather than in the middle. They both look different, slightly different to each other. Again, I don't think these are the nicest looking fittings in the world, either the B-press or the M-press. I don't think any of them really look that nice. They are what they are, but they're for commercial premises. Usually they're going to be in some kind of plant room or hidden out of the way, so you know, what does it really matter at the end of the day if it does its job and it's going to make the job easier for you. Again, with commercial applications, the job tends to cost a little bit more than it does in the domestic market. So these fittings kind of pay for themselves, as does a tool like this. Obviously, being £1,500, this is an extremely expensive piece of kit. When you think that a blowtorch, some solder and some flux, to set that all up, probably under £150, and then a bag of fittings, a couple of different fittings. You can be under £200 easily and do a bunch of jobs and make that £200 back in a day, whereas this £1,500, is it going to make it back in one job in the commercial sector? Maybe, maybe not, depends on what you're doing. But if you're doing lots of jobs in the commercial environment, this is definitely the way to go. No hot works permits, no risk assessments for fire or for soldering or brazing. So yeah, for me this is a go-to. And also you don't have to stick around for half an hour to an hour after you've done your your last crimp, as you would with your last solder. You solder a joint up, you've got to hang around for half an hour to an hour to make sure you don't burn the building down. You can crimp this and be gone in 5 minutes after you make sure that there's no leaks. So it definitely has its benefits over soldering. This is not the only type of press fit machine on the market. Obviously there's Novopress. Obviously there's the Milwaukee version of this. I was told to go with the Novopress over the Milwaukee in case you get any issues. Then you can go direct to Novopress, who make both machines, rather than having to go to Milwaukee and then back to Novopress and so on. So I went with the Novopress, £300 cheaper, made direct from the manufacturer, exactly the same machine, just without the Milwaukee branding on it. Completely your choice, obviously, but that was my choice. There are other machines made by Rothenberger. There's a Z press coming out. I think that's on YouTube somewhere. If you have a look, there's a Z press machine. I don't know what fittings that uses. I think it might be M profile. There is, I think there's an M18 version, so there's an 18 volt version of this as well. There's a variety of different press fit machines, so this is not the only one on the market. One of the reasons I picked this, other than the battery, is how small it is in comparison to a lot of other machines. When you look at the Rothenberger, it's a big beastly machine with a big part out here. This whole part comes out. It's got a big handle on it, so not particularly what I wanted. I wanted something small that can fit in a bag, doesn't need to fit in a case. It does come with a case, comes with a horrible plasticky case. It comes with a tray for obviously all of your different heads, so your M22, your M15 and your M28 and a few other heads if you choose to purchase them later on. And again, all I would say with press fit machines is that make sure you get a branded machine first of all, from one of the big manufacturers, Novopress, Milwaukee, Rothenberger, a well-known manufacturer with a calibrated machine, and make sure that your fittings that you're buying are genuine fittings from a wholesaler, Screwfix, BES, Toolstation, a plumbing trade centre, Plum Centre, Plum City, somewhere like that, because these fittings are guaranteed by the manufacturer. They have warranties on them and guarantees as to their quality, and as long as you're using an appropriately calibrated machine and the right fittings, then they have some form of liability if you get any leaks or callbacks. Again, as long as you've done your job properly, they shouldn't leak and they should be okay. Just make sure that the O-rings are intact, there's no splits or damage in them when you actually go to press, because if the O-ring splits or the pipe snags the O-ring, you could end up with a leak on your pipe. Usually you'll get a drip from the pipe if you've pressed it correctly, but the O-ring is split, it will drip. Or again, if you haven't pressed the fitting, these Connex ones, they do drip. If you just push it onto the pipe, like so, if you just leave that in there, forgot to press it, that would start to drip when you turn the water on. The O-ring would actually hold back the water and it would only allow a small drip out, so it's got a 3-point protection on it, according to Connex. Once you crimp it, you'll see the crimp marks on both sides all the way around. And again, Screwfix say that you can use this, and I did use it and it worked with the M profile jaws, but I am going to go back to them obviously because Konex say that you can't, or they did say that you couldn't before. However, I don't know if they've changed their fittings in some sort of way that allow the M profile to fit on there, or it's something that they didn't know about at first. I don't know. But I pressed it. I had no leaks. I've had no problems. That was over a week ago. Still no problems. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that. Probably stick to the fittings designed by the manufacturers. I certainly won't be buying any more Konex fittings just because it's too much of a risk. I'll go with the Yorkshire or the Gebrett fittings. So that's all for today's video. I hope it was of some help to you. If you have any questions about this tool or any of the fittings, any of the tools, any of the equipment on today's video or any other video, please drop a comment down below and I will get back to you. Also, if you have any advice or information about pressfit that you want to share with me, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Again, I will get back to you. Thank you very much for watching the video. Please give it a like and please remember to subscribe to the channel.